what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WPwatercooler's WP Blab, the WordPress marketing show. I want to let you know that this is episode number 153, Effective Marketing Copy Has Empathy. WP Blab is made possible this week by our sponsor, ServerPress, Kinsta, and our friends over at Fat Dog Creatives. ServerPress makers a desktop server. They make local WordPress development easy. Go check them out over at serverpress.com. They're awesome. And if you haven't checked them out, and if you're doing any local WordPress web development, or if you need to get somebody to do local WordPress development, they're probably going to use ServerPress. So go check them out. We appreciate them for helping us out. I do want to let you know that this show is it's not only made available by us, but also made available to you as a subscribable type of thing. So if you're not familiar with like how podcasting works or how YouTube works, if you're on YouTube right now, you can go click the little subscribe button down below. You can click the bell to be notified. If you're as a podcast, if you want to listen to us and not watch us, you can download it as well by just going to whatever your podcast player of choice is, finding us on there, and then pushing the subscribe button, and you'll get delivered instantly every week when we go and put one of these shows out. Thank you. So, Bridget, tell us about yourself.
Hey, y'all. I'm Bridget Willard. You can find out more at bridgetwillard.com. I sometimes go on other podcasts, and Russ freaked me out because he was like, "Oh, we all know your introduction, Bridget. Tell us something we don't know about you." Yeah. So I'll tell you something you don't know. All my tweets are heavily edited. No matter what you think I said on Twitter, and you think that I'm not editing, I am. And you know what? You're welcome.
Don't you like long walks in the living room?
Yes, I do.
Via FaceTime?
Oh, I do. I go back and forth, and I'm like the dad on the Christmas Story in the basement going, "Rasm, rasm, rasm, rasm."
Oh, man. Well, thank you for that intro, Bridget. She also does marketing and stuff too. You can hire her, and she's been writing books and doing all sorts of fun stuff. So feel free to go take a look at that. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. I do this show as well as another show called WP Watercooler. This week, it's not WP Watercooler. It is Dev Branch. So we get super heavy into the development and the development side of things. And we're actually talking about the vertical that our sponsor is in, which is local WordPress web development. So that's going to be an interesting thing to navigate in a marketing sense. And so we'll see how that goes. We'll be talking a lot about their competitors and stuff. And you're just in an unbiased opinion or anything like that. But it's going to be fun. So we'll have a good time with that. So you can go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com/devbranch. That's where you can find more info about that show at 11 a.m. Pacific. Amber, hey! It's been 3 minutes and 30 seconds since we started, and we were perfectly rude, and now it's your turn to speak. So you have 45 seconds. Go. No, just kidding.
I'm actually, nobody knows anything about me. So that's, I'm really good with time speaking because I used to be a comedian. So all you have to do is go like this, and I'll be like, okay, I have 30 seconds and I'll be done. So,
you have all the time in the world. You have an entire hour. Have at it.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk for the rest of the time and let nobody else say anything. I'm Amber Peachin. I live in this little hole in Arizona and never will leave again, apparently. That's my story. I run a marketing company or a creative agency, depends what you want to call it, depends on what day of the week it is what I call it. But amplitude.media, you can learn anything you want that I put on that website. You can, whatever, call me and I'll tell you anything else you want to know. That's kind of day it is. But yeah, so that's
awesome.
Me. I wrote a book for Bridget, actually, speaking of writing books.
Oh my God, did you write that book?
I did. I wrote a book called How to Make Friends with a T-Rex for Bridget. That's my surprise.
We were talking on Twitter, and she was like, and we just, because of the last episode she was on about what's your favorite dinosaur, and so we started like in our tweets we started using dinosaur gifs or gifs depending upon, you know, I want to be inclusive, and so like she goes, well, like this life lesson, and the next thing was like, I'm like, we need life lessons from dinosaurs. You need to write this book.
Yeah, so I wrote a book. Well, the thing is one of my kids drew a picture of a dinosaur, and his name is Fred, and he's a little T-Rex. And this was like 2 years ago. And my business partner digitized it, and we made stickers just because it's freaking adorable. So I already have Fred. So it's a book about Fred, but it's how to make friends with a T-Rex. And it's all of the different things you have to think about if you're going to be friends with a T-Rex, so that you are an inclusive person to have lots of inclusivity in your friend group.
That is epic.
It's kind of adorable.
When can we buy it? What's the timeline on that?
I would have to actually drop real pictures versus what I'm currently doing, which is like when I'm so distracted that I'm not doing anything, I am like, I should put together some clip art into this, you know, PowerPoint presentation with my storyline on it. Well, so it's not super professional right now.
Kindle Create, that's what I'm going to do. This my book is called Dysfunctional Love Songs. The subtitle is Interventionist Affirmations for the Hopeless Romantic.
Okay.
Where I take lyrics of songs that I know and sing and go, girl, you need to leave that guy.
It's not worth it.
And then at the end, it has an affirmation, but the preface has instructions on how to do this at home with a person or in a group, because it's like a self-help book hidden in humor with music, which is basically all of my life up until right now.
I love it.
So it's going to be 21 chapters because it takes 21 days to form a habit. And I have the first 9 sets of lyrics. I mean, my first phase is finding all the lyrics. So if anybody in this audience has a suggestion for one of my friends on Twitter was like, oh, that song that says, if you don't know me by now, you will never know me. Like, it's total gaslighting, she said. And I'm like, you're right. I was at the dentist listening to that song going, what do you mean? You're out late at night. She should be wondering where you've been.
We were talking about this the other night, actually. That song, like the It Wasn't Me song. Like I saw you doing her on the bathroom floor. Wasn't me. My kids and I were like, that's total. Like he's just like a lying bastard. But he's like gaslighting to the extreme. Yeah.
No, I know. I know that like this is the bonus part of the show that's in the front instead of the back.
Okay.
But there is a legal argument for It Wasn't Me on YouTube where the guy goes through every single part, and he is a lawyer, and he gives them advice on how to fight in court. It's so
like, that's hilarious. We actually also at dinner the other night decided that lawyers weren't real people. So I don't know. It's just my house. It's what we do. But if you want to live at my house, you can't. But you can pretend like that's the other book, the real book I'm writing. It's called Strategic Neglect: The Art of Winning at Parenting.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's 21 chapters.
You guys have all of the book names. Mine would be called like How to Do Computer Stuff by Jason.
That would be a great book title. I know that the internet works by Jason.
No, but here's the thing, Jason. So I was in the shower. I've been wanting to write about these dysfunctional love songs for a long time, right? Because we sing and we're hearing ourselves saying these words, and it's reinforcing them. Because I kept thinking, where's that guy? I want that guy to write that, even the normal songs. Who is that? And, and so I thought I wanted to write about this. And then I was like, nah, it needs to be a custom post type because I'm not going to start another blog, a website. Right. So then I was like, you do a custom post type for WP Blab, and it just needs to be a custom post type. So I need to get a custom post type plugin. And then all of a sudden I was like, I don't care anymore. Right. And then I go, no, why don't I write a book like Nathan Ingram said and put it on Kindle Create?
There you go.
Yeah. And now you're a published author.
Well, I am a published author. I have 2 books on Lulu, but they're Jesus books. But anyway, like I wanted to do this for fun. It's supposed to be done by the 30th. We'll see.
Hey,
So let's talk about empathy. I mean, like
yeah.
I kind of started a riot yesterday by retweeting somebody's tweet about too many exclamation marks being in
Oh my gosh.
copy.
I saw that.
Yeah. Okay. So that's when I was like rasm frasm, and then everything I wrote was heavily edited. But the thing is that we forget sometimes we just do things the way we always did it. And there is a way to write persuasive copy. One of the articles I read was saying if you have to use an exclamation mark, you found the wrong word. You need to go back to the well because you're not using the right words.
You have to use 11 of them.
Well, I mean, the thing is, word choice matters. And then when you and I were talking about this subject, you're like, it's really about empathy.
Yeah.
When you're with the word choice. So for the non-writer or the person who writes documentation or technical writing, which is totally different, could you talk a little bit about or define for us what is empathy in writing? What does that look like? What the heck?
So I'm going to actually pull that back one more layer, actually 2 more layers. I know, we're getting naked in here. That's what's happening. But it's better than like skin layers and muscle. Anyway, that's gross. Okay, so my brain is in weird places this morning. I think one of the most important things to think about, because that's is communication in general, first of all. Like, what is communication? What is and what is effective communication? So communication only happens, like, you've not effectively communicated if the person you're talking to hasn't understood the intent behind what you're saying or trying to communicate. So I can hear the words you're saying and misunderstand the question or misunderstand what you meant behind it, because you can say the same thing in 5 different ways. You can say the exact same thing and you change your tone, you change your setting, you change who you are as a person, you change who it is you're speaking to, and then the message is completely different and it completely changes. And so the first thing you have to do is you have to consider who it is you're talking to, the space that they're in, how they're going to receive the message you're going to send in the best way possible. And so in order to do any of those things, empathy comes in where you can feel with them, as Brene Brown says. And so you can imagine yourself in the position they're in, and you can say, how is this person going to receive the thing that I'm going to be sharing? And so, like, from your Twitter thread the other day, you were just making a joke. You were just...
Yeah, I was making a joke.
You're being Bridget. But the person who responded being hurt by your joke was because they had been the person who had written the thing at some point, not this specific thing.
Yeah.
But because of that, they're like, whoever this is, if they see this, they're going to, like, their feelings are going to be hurt because my feelings would be hurt if I saw this. Now, the person that is a writer, like, when a writer has somebody be like, hey, this part of your writing needs to be fixed, most writers are like, thanks for the tip, bro. Like, and it's like, and they consider the source and they consider who's saying it, and they're like all of the things, right? Like, everything you write as a writer gets ripped apart by 27 people every day, and usually gets approved, right? Most people who don't write on a regular basis, that's not the case. And so having somebody be like, you know, if you use one exclamation point rather than 12, then it actually gets your point across better. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's like considering that, you know, as a volunteer, but these are things that when you're just like writing a tweet isn't something you normally consider. However, like in actual marketing copy, like actual writing that you're going to do for a client or yourself as a client or whatever, that should be heavily edited. And you should be considering, what is it I'm really trying to, what do I want to really communicate? What I want them to do with the information I'm about to give them. And then you have to consider who it is you're talking to, so your main audience is, and how you're going to get them to do that. And I think that, like, right now, in the current situation the world is in, like, that empathy and marketing copy, it's one of those glaring things that you see. You're like, oh, that ad was made before coronavirus, not after. And you can tell because, there's two people greeting and they're shaking hands, and it's like this glaring red flashing sign of like, and it's like, come closer together is the marketing headline, and you're like, no. And so it's like, you have to consider where the people are that are communicating with, like, where in an emotional, mental, physical state they are. Like, how are they going to receive what it is you're saying, so that you are effectively communicating what you want to communicate. So that's my 3 layers of pullback on that.
And I'm with you in that there's a bit of a context that happens when it comes to marketing that you could put together right this second. Like, if right this second you put together something that contradicts what people are, having that mindset. Like, my mindset right now is, oh my gosh, every video I see, every single person standing way too close to each other. Like, which is what you just mentioned. But like, that whole thing, it's like, if you gotta take those into consideration when you're doing this, because that's the empathetic side of that marketing campaign, and if you're not like that, man, talk about polarizing. And it's rough. And I know that there's plenty of marketing that's happening, that is happening right now that was figured out 6 months ago, and they're just rolling with it.
Yeah, because that's one of the reasons why social media managers, we don't believe in over scheduling or pure automation, because, when 9/11 happens, you got to pause all your campaigns, But when I think of empathy in tech, specifically in tech, I think of the kind of editing, kind of moral superiority that comes across with, why are you so stupid that you don't know how to do the thing that I do every single day, right? And David Ogilvy said, the customer isn't you, they're not stupid, it's your wife, right? So it's just somebody who isn't so familiar with, like, and I learned this back when I was in construction, because my boss would say, how come they don't know what a glue lamp beam is? What is wrong with them? Like, I challenge you to find out if anybody knows what a glue lamp beam is, okay? Or a T-bar ceiling. Nobody knows it's called a T-bar ceiling. They just know it's a ceiling and it's got these little metal things, and then there's these ugly tiles that kind of go in them. Nobody knows it's called a T-bar ceiling, and nobody cares. Everybody just wants it to work, okay? It doesn't matter. So when I wrote for the construction company, I would have my husband read it, because I was aware that I was also too educated. But there's that difference. Like, do people know that you have an asphalt roof, or do they just think a roof is a roof is a roof? And so there's that, like, presumption of, you don't want to talk down to them either, but you do want to educate them. That's a weird balance, I think, only comes from empathy.
And I think that's where, like, it's really interesting. So I do a lot of writing for really technical, complicated, scientific, academic, typically considered dry, boring people. And my job, and this is and they're my favorite clients, because I'm the kind of nerd who loves to, like, oh, let's learn all about risk and risk assessment, and write about, high frequency versus, low frequency versus high cost scenarios, which is what we're currently in from an actuarial perspective, right?
Yes.
And I find that I have to start with, like, do you know what actuaries do? Because and so that's where, like, it's that, how do you educate without making people feel dumb? And so you have to give enough information. And so usually when I, like, have a conversation, I was like, do you know what actuaries do? And people are usually like, I have never even heard that word. And so and then I explain it. I'm like, it's okay. I didn't really know either until I came on board with this client. And then it's like this leveling of like, let me tell you what I know. And it's the same way where it's like the ability to explain what something is to somebody who has zero knowledge of it in a way that doesn't make them feel like they're the dumbest person on the planet. And that's where actually I think all writing requires empathy, and not all writing, all communication in general. And because communication is a whole ball of wax. And so, but that's where it's like the ability to tell a story about something in a way that's entertaining, educating, keeps people engaged is where that empathy comes into play, where if you're going to have effective content at all, you have to start from that place of being able to do that. So it's like, this is my favorite article I've ever written for this actuary client. So do you guys know what actuaries do?
I do. Like,
Okay.
that's what I kept saying to people. Oh, 100,000 people are going to die. I'm like, how many people would die anyway? Let's ask the actuaries because they get paid for this.
Right. Well, and
it's so bad.
Well, 100,000 people on top of the normal people who would actually die.
Right.
So,
I know, but you know what I'm saying? Let's get some context.
Right. Yeah. And so when you're telling stories about numbers, actually, that is incredibly important, is being able to place the numbers into context and make it be relative to the story that you're telling. And that's, but explaining what actuaries do, but also the actuaries I work with work in captive insurance companies. And so it's like this microcosm of even actuarial work inside of insurance work. Like, it's highly, highly specialized. Most people don't know what it is. I'm the kind of nerd who reads IRS tax cases about it, so I can write about it. But even I was at an insurance conference talking to somebody who was like new to and she's like, and after talking to her for just a few minutes, she was like, I don't really even fully understand this yet, she says. And I'm like, that's okay. It's complicated. It's hard to understand. But I'm like, I actually wrote a great post on this. It's, why you need captive insurance in case of the zombie apocalypse. Oh, and it's funny. Right? So it's like funny and it's engaging, but it explains all of the things in a way that everybody can relate to, because it's like this amorphous, you have captive insurance for things that you don't know are going to happen that regular insurance doesn't cover, so you cover it yourself, kind of a thing. Now it feels really insensitive because I could have written it for, 10 reasons you should have captive insurance in case of coronavirus, but in case of a worldwide pandemic. And all of the things would have applied to that. And so it's like the ability to say, I'm going to put myself in the shoes of somebody who isn't really sure what it is that actuaries do, has no idea about captive insurance. How can I tell them a story that's interesting and engaging and explains the information in a way that they want to keep reading? Because it's for business owners, it's not for actuaries. And that's like you're saying, it's not for the expert. We're not writing for experts. Experts have their own companies. We're writing for people who need our services because they don't know enough about what we do. And that's where like effective copy comes into play, is being able to say, what does the person who's reading this need to know? And how do I help them know it in a way that keeps them interested, because they didn't spend 12 years of their life learning how to do this. And yeah, anyway, that's
how do you take copy that isn't empathetic and flip it on its head and apply empathy to it?
Well,
like there has to be some cases where like someone just, I don't know, they write it and they write it in such a way that it's just like it's more decisive and more just like getting real in there. And it's like, you could apply empathy to this, and if you did it, you'd probably sell more. People would probably be more interested in it, like that. But how do you approach that when someone gives you like a draft and goes like, here you go, I'm a total a-hole in this one, and and then you have to kind of massage it to where it needs to be?
So a lot of times I'm surprised at the copy that makes it out there that is like that clearly hasn't gone through a filter. I don't know. Like, have you seen that, Bridget, where it's like, you're like wiggling your eyebrows at me, and I know it's because I do it.
I'm sorry. I'm mirroring. I'm a mirror.
Which is
But
one
no,
way to
it's
show empathy.
so what I hear you saying is no, but it's like a lot of times I don't see it as being mean, but as being clinical, sterile,
or overly smarmy. Like
smarmy. You mean
smarmy.
like smartassery?
No, like the gross, like I don't know how many emails I've received, like we're all aware of, and this is how my emails, the current situation of the world, and these are the things that we're doing, and it's like, right, like, and so this is a case where empathy,
the moral superiority,
not even moral superiority, like it just feels like a cut and paste, like, well, we're a company that sells shoes. This is how we are, making sure that you're safe during the coronavirus epidemic, right? And you're like,
we got a lot of those emails.
Exactly. So first of all, consider, like, do people need to hear from you? No, they don't. And so, like, the first case of empathy is like, are people overwhelmed and do they need another story? That's clearly empathy disguised, clearly a sales pitch disguised as empathy. And that's where it's like that. That's what I mean by smarmy. It's like the typical salesperson thing, where it's like when people think of the used car salesman and the like
ambulance chasing.
Yeah. And so that's where it's like, if you can't show this to somebody that doesn't know what you do and have them go, like, this sounds like a human I want to work with. And that's really what it all comes down to, being a good human in business and being a good human in your writing and your copy and stuff. But it's like, it's considering the fact, do you really want to help, or are you trying to get more business when it comes to things like that? And so, and that's where I'd say too, with the things that are overly clinical, are you trying to be helpful? Are you providing value? Or are you just pitching your product? And if you are just pitching your product, then you are not being empathetic. That you can't be. You have to consider why somebody would want to buy your product from you, how you can help them. And that's really, like, when it comes down to, when we're talking about doing, marketing for people and talking about how they talk about the product, we do a lot of brand guidelines. So tonality, voice, persona, that's largely like our bread and butter, what we do. We get into company stuff and we're like, this is what you say. This is how you say it. These are the feelings and the moods you're trying to evoke. This is what you want people to feel when they interact with you, anywhere they interact with you or your brand, right? And so it's like being able to say, the value that I bring is this. So if you use my services, it will change your life in this way. If you buy my tar roof ceiling, these are the ways it'll change your life, essentially. And so it's like, it's a way of thinking, okay, I'm not thinking I want to sell this product. I'm thinking this person needs my help because they have this problem. Here's how I can help them. And switching your copy to reflect that. And it feels to, like, the traditional business person very, very like it doesn't feel like they're doing their job, I think is what it is. Like, they don't feel like it's marketing enough. It doesn't qualify as marketing, and it's not a hard enough sell, and it's not how the world interacts anymore. Like, people don't want to be sold. They, want to be helped. They want to have value, and they have 1,000 choices of the same thing usually. How is your thing going to make them feel like they chose the right one? Which is, at the end of the day, what they should do is they should feel like they won because they got to work with you versus, the next schmuck down the road.
Yeah, it's really about hospitality.
Yeah.
Yeah. And being hospitable to, like, that target audience, like, you don't want to make them feel like they're at a place or not feeling like they should not, like, why am I reading this? Which is why I kept getting, like, I'm getting COVID-19 emails about sandals. And I'm like, sandals will not help in any way, shape, or form. Yes, I may have just bought a pair of sandals, but do I need to be notified of this or not? Like, that's people just being sheeple that are just wanting to follow the rest of the sheep.
Well, and so the answer to that, here's the answer to that too. If you're a company and you're like, but I feel like I need to touch base with my people because we need to have a voice. We need to say something, right? And I don't know that everybody always does, but if you work one-on-one with people, you should touch base with each of your clients. And so one of the ways you should do that, it should be a personal email, not a form. And you should say, hey, I'm checking in. I want to make sure that you and your family are healthy and safe. I want to let you know that we're thinking about you. And then tell them like whatever it is that you need to tell them. But it's like, here are some things. Like if you're working with your clients, so like with my clients, at least I reached out and it's like, hey, so let's make sure any of your social media that's going out is tonality correct. Let's make sure that you are reaching out to your customers in a way that makes sense. Let's think from the perspective. So I'm thinking of not like, hey, here's how I can push more services. Instead, it's you also have, I know these are the needs you're going to have right now. I am supposed to be the communication expert. Although anyway, that's a whole other thing. I'm the communication expert, except with, my very own family, maybe. I don't know. But you're too close to it. And so there is that portion where it's like, who is it? What do they need? How can I help them? Even when it comes to your own communication with your own clients and keeping that in mind. So rather than selling, it's helping. And that's where that empathy comes in, is if you have to think about enough to help.
Yeah. Well, speaking of helping, I want to let you know about our friends over at Kinsta. Go over to their website over at demo.kinsta.com where you can learn about their new dashboard. And I don't know, I've been enjoying looking at Kinsta stuff and using their products and services. I do want to let you know that if you're tired of unreliable or slow hosting, check out Kinsta.com, who makes managed WordPress hosting the next level. I need to rewrite that. Powered by Google Cloud. All their plans include PHP 7.4, SSH access for developers, one-click staging area, 20 global data centers, free SSL, free CDN, 24/7 expert support who will also migrate your website free of charge. Visit Kinsta over at their website over at demo.kinsta.com and check out their new dashboard. Thanks, Kinsta. We appreciate it. All righty.
Yay, Kinsta.
But you're right about the whole tonality thing, because listen, part of my brand is being not smarmy, but snarky. I've always been snarky. The whole "you too can be a guru" was like, social media is easy. Anybody can do it. I'll teach you. It's always been like that, and a bunch of us, we're like, we're the experts. Y'all don't know what you're doing. I would call people out.
Gary V.
Well, I mean, he started, but doesn't mean he's that.
No, but Gary V even called you out and was like, "Oh, are you kidding me, dude? Like, you're using you too could be a guru. Like, really? Is this person serious?"
Yeah, because it was just a joke. It was like,
I know
the whole thing was just a joke. And the thing is that that's what I do. I call people out. I usually, like pixelate their brand or whatever. So I use like the fashion magazines that say, don't wear the shirt with those pants and they black out your eyes. Like, that's always been kind of my philosophy. And then lately I've been like, oh, look, Pressable's out of the closet saying they're an automatic company. This is interesting. And then people said, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. And then I was like, whoa, what happened to your header? And they're like, oh, I can't believe, like, people that never interact with me
came out of the woodwork.
Came out of the woodwork, like they're lying in wait just for me to F up and then burn my effigy in their front yard on Twitter. Oh, you're a guru and a branding expert, and you should know better than to call somebody out. And da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, dude, first of all, I was their social media manager for 2 years. And I mean, for a year, and I work with those people. They're also my friends because they're like, those are good people, and they did this. I'm like, it's not the designer, it's management that's changed CEOs 4 times since I started working with them. They're not my client anymore, but they are my host, and I love everybody I know that works for Pressable. They're literally my friends. Okay. So like, But I know that I could say what they're feeling that
Mhm.
they can't say. I've always been able to be that voice that, you know, I am putting to light the things that nobody else is able to say. And so, oh my gosh, you should know better. Those are good. Nobody said that they're stupid and they should get fired. I did say that once, though. I did say that once about the state of the word because there were tarot cards in for the Gutenberg launch in Matt's slide deck. And I'm like, oh, Matt, this needs to get fixed because the interpretation of the tarot cards like was bad. And it was supposed to be all about like giving you hope about this new editor. And I go, I don't know, whoever did that should be fired. And then I found out who it was, and it was one of my friends. And she said, I didn't even think about it. And I said, oh my God, I love you so much. I'm so sorry. I apologize to her in person.
Mm-hmm.
And, but that's why you need branding people. Okay. So that you can avoid these mistakes. And the person who is, you know, Matt's right-hand man, as an expression. Okay. God, I can already hear the judgment. You know,
you're excluding left-handers.
I know. And females and non-binary. But Josepha Hayden, I came up to her and I said, I will personally volunteer to look over Matt's slides for every Say the Word from now on. And of course, he doesn't trust me, but I wish he would. Because you know what happens, Amber, is, and this is something I want you to talk about, I'm not just off on a rant, everything I say is intentional. When you surround yourself with yes men, when your company becomes so big, probably how Gary Vee is now, not how he was in 2009 to 2011. When you surround yourself with all these people whose financial survival depends, and maybe career path depends upon your good favor, right?
Right.
Where do you fit in that ability to say, and Avenue 5, that show on Amazon, on HBO, is the perfect example of
I love that.
The yes men. Like, they're like, the guy just says da 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 da, and they just do it, and nobody's running anything, and nobody knows anything. The people actually know stuff, you know, whatever. I'm not going to ruin the plot, but whatever. Like, there's a danger to surrounding yourself with yes men for any kind of communication strategy.
Right.
How do you get that objective evaluation of your marketing if you don't accept criticism?
So I think as a society at large, we've gotten really bad at hearing people say that something we're doing or saying isn't good. We think that we are always right. And it's a human thing. It's a human sociological, you know, it's our own internal bias that we are correct. Because if we weren't correct, we would be doing something else, like, right? And so one of the things I think is establishing a culture of pushback and exploration and in your company. And so it is like that ability to have those conversations where it's, if you set it up all the time, that you're going to be able to say, like, this is our idea. I want to hear everything wrong with this. And that's where, like, if you get a really good communications person on your team, specifically, and I'm going to say PR people are the best at this, and not just because that's where I've learned it from, is from PR, but PR people, so your public relations team, they should be trained in crisis communications. If your PR team doesn't vet your marketing stuff before it goes out, if your PR team isn't vetting your deck, because your PR team is going to see everything through the lens of crisis and how people are going to respond. And that's where you get like the big errors. But also, if the more diversity you have on your team, the better. If you have a team of people, if you're a large company and 90% of the people who make the decisions are white men, no offense, Jason, then you are missing a lens. You're missing multiple valuable lenses of cultural experiences and interpretations. And so it's like when you see these campaigns, like you'll see marketing campaigns come out where they have these huge like gaffes. You're like, how could this even get to print with this clearly racist image and picture and headline on this? And the answer is nobody of a race other than white was on the team.
Or in WordPress, what happens is we're inclusive. Here's our new employee. And we all look at each other in Slack and say, congratulations, you hired another man.
Exactly. And that's where it's like, if you want to have a good empathetic team, the way to do that is to have the perception and the voices and the life experiences of a lot of different kinds of people from different genders, different races, different ability levels, different backgrounds, different countries, different parts of the world. And the bigger your team, the more diverse it should be, just because you have the ability for it. And what happens is, and this is where, this is my thing that I always harp on, but when you have a diverse team, you will also have to make sure that it's inclusive. So if you're like, yeah, we have this great team, but nobody can disagree with the boss, and who's the middle-aged white guy who owns the company, and everybody's afraid to upset or else they lose their job, then you have a diverse team, but you have like a Cabbage Patch collection. You don't have an inclusive group of voices. Yeah. And that's how you make sure that you're being empathetic, is you bring that to the table where you say, the most important thing here is that we reach as many people as we can who are our targeted audience. In order to do that, we need a lot of voices and a lot of ideas and a lot of different approaches. And what happens, the business benefit of that, because I feel like a lot of times we talk about diversity and inclusion, we talk about empathy, and people are like, oh, touchy-feely girly stuff. Like, what's the business side of this? The thing is that when you do all of these things, your business makes more money. You grow faster, you have a better product, and you have better marketing, and your client base becomes fans because they feel like you speak to them. And that's how you build a fan base for your business or your product, is you have that empathy, because then people are like, oh, they get me. They understand me. They know what I need, and they know how to help me. And then that's where everybody wins. And there's a lot of great stuff on that. Like there's a book called The Diversity Bonus written by Scott Page. That's amazing. And I highly recommend it. But if you're not a book person, if you just Google Scott Page Diversity Bonus, you'll come up with like 27,000 presentations he's given, and they're all fantastic. And he's a great presenter. And he tells great stories. But then there's also a book called The Wisdom of Crowds, which by James Surowiecki is his name. And I can't spell it, but I can say it probably incorrectly. But both of those books talk about how to have empathy when you think, because they talk about bringing a lot of different brains together when you think about a problem. And that's how you solve big problems. That's how you have, so it's not just marketing, it's like your whole business should be built around empathy.
Okay.
And your marketing and your communication should be bringing it out there.
I mean, case in point, we were talking in the pre-show. So I was looking for a better bra, okay? And I'm sitting there, I'm scrolling on Instagram, and this one keeps showing, oh, we don't have a wire, blah, 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 blah. And they're showing bigger girls. They're not runners' bodies, okay? And so I go and I look at their store. The highest band they have is 38. And I'm like, oh, man, I would totally buy this if you had a 40. And I remember saying that last year. Oh, yeah, we're working on it, blah, 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 blah. And then, but like, that's all they kept saying. And I was like, man, you guys still don't have a 40 band. Like, I am trying to get to a 38, but that's more than 10 or 20 pounds. And so then I saw another one and I'm like, oh man, I really like this one. I wish it came in a 40, because I'm sick of wearing these ugly bras that are super uncomfortable. They bother my back. That's reality. And so, but they responded and they said, we do have 40 to blah, 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 50 something cups to like letters I didn't even know existed. And you can look and hear and blah, 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 blah. So guess who bought a $62 bra from that company?
Yeah. And that's
because they recognize me as, I know I'm 230, 233 today, but whatever. But like, I know that. Okay. But you're marketing to me. I'm seeing the sponsored ad in my feed over and over and over again. And you don't have my size. How does that make me feel? Even though I'm like, we're all like, oh no, everybody's awesome, except if you need a size 40.
Right. Then you get the grandma bra. If you can find it.
Right.
Right.
And you pay a premium for it. I should send you
but that's the thing. It's like, there's no, so who got the money? The company who responded with empathy.
Yep. And that's actually, so if you're thinking about, and this is where I think a lot of people see a miss, is where you think, okay, we're going to build this product for all of these, like this subset of people. And the subset of people, like if you want to have a wide open space, like talk about blue water, right? Sailing into the blue water. Like think about, okay, what if we made bras that were cute and functional and worked and were a decent price for people who did have larger boob sizes, right? And that's where we cater to. So if you see empathy, like where's the hole in the market because people can't see people who don't fit into the quote unquote normal, like that's a whole business strategy right there.
Yeah.
Is being able to do that. And like looking at where, like even just demographically our world has shifted, like if you aren't thinking about people who, like just if you think about the world of like, who do I, like the quote unquote normal person isn't the same person anymore.
Right.
And so it's like, how do I build an inclusive campaign? So for Phoenix Startup Week, which I'm on the organizing team for Phoenix Startup Week. And our main goal is to build a diverse, inclusive community of business owners and a diverse, inclusive entrepreneurship ecosystem is what we call it here in Phoenix, because you need all of these different businesses, you need different kinds, you need education, you need funding, you need political support. And so it's like pulling everybody together to build this thriving startup community here in Phoenix. And one of the things that has been a really important part of that is thinking about who is it that we're not including?
Where's the void?
Yeah. Where if we show up and there's nobody over the age of 65 here, we've missed our mark. If we don't have a track that is inclusive of veterans and talks about how to help veterans start tech-run companies, or like what are we missing in that avenue, in that vein? And every year we get a little broader and we pull in a little bit more people in our community. And what happens is that we just have this rich conference with these fantastic humans that are attending, and it's just like there's all of these people you would have never met otherwise, because it's like it's just this broad table. But the key is like, if you have to say it because nobody can see it or feel it, then you aren't doing it correctly.
I love that. And that's a good place to talk about the tool or tip of the week.
Ooh.
Yeah.
This week's tool or tip of the week is brought to you by Fat Dog Creatives. If you are a service-based business serious about growth, Rhonda Nagard is your rebranding and design thinker, strategic design specialist. Check out our website at fatdogcreatives.com. Okay, so my tool or tip of the week kind of fits in. My little subject, my kind of like preface is also watch the WordCamp Europe talk from Morten Hendrickson, who about empathy, and he talks about how he learned how to dance, and that because learning something new helps us with empathy. So I had this problem when I was in school to be a teacher, because my science teacher would say to me, "You're going to be terrible at teaching math and science." And I said, "What do you mean? Those are my best subjects." That's why.
Wow.
And so I had that problem when I did second grade remedial math group on how to tell time. I tried everything and I was just racking my brain until we became the clock. And everybody sat around a circle. They all had a number. 2 people had not sticks, but like long cardboard tubes. One was shorter than the other. And then we had a game, where they would go, if this person pointed to that and the shorthand, then would be 1. And the person holding 1 would say 1. And the person holding the 9 would say 45, like that. And so that actually worked. And as a teacher and a lifelong learner, I know this. So one of my little hobbies since way back when was to play Scrabble / Word of Friends, just to have something to do. I like to play games, but I'm terrible at words. And Mercier and Julie and all these people would beat me by 200-point margins every single game. In fact, the last time I played with Wendy, she would yell from the other room and say, "What did you do that for?" Because we'd both be in bed playing Words with Friends. "That was terrible. You're not even trying." I'm like, "I am trying." She goes, "No, you're not. You missed blah, blah, blah. And you could have blah, 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 blah. I go, "This is my best." She goes, "I can't play with you anymore." She just couldn't do it. And so I thought, you know what? I play word games just to do something, but I thought, I'm not good with words. I'm good with math and grammar. And what's good about math and grammar is patterns and rules, right? So I'm good at patterns and rules. So I found this game because of, an ad or whatever. It's called Word Stacks. And it's because I tried doing crosswords, but that just felt more like a trivia game, which I like trivia, but it wasn't really helping me find patterns in words, which is so crazy because I write for a living. Right. But because of the way Word Stacks is, it's like a crossword meets a word search. And so I have it'll just say a subject, and then you just have to find words that fit, and it will say there will be 4 letters, 4 spaces. You don't get any clues. You get 0 clues. It's just they can't be diagonals: forward, backwards, upwards, downwards. That's it. So you can shuffle a couple of times, and I'm good at the mahjong matching game because you're just looking for patterns, right? And so when I started doing this, I was like, oh, okay. And I'm just playing to play. And then all of a sudden, my scores started getting higher with my friend Apollonia, who ironically, well, not ironically, but this is how bad I am at words. She's a second language learner. Of course, she speaks 4 languages, but whatever. So I'm like, here's my Slovenian friend kicking my butt by 200 points every game. "Brigitte, why did you do that?" Da, 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 da. Then all of a sudden because I started playing this game, I'm looking now at, I am reverse engineering words for the first time in my life.
And that's how you win the Scrabble.
And I wasn't just, think of a word that starts the letter F. No, I'm thinking of the ending of the words. I'm looking at the open space. I'm looking at the space behind, and I'm reverse engineering the words based upon the patterns of the endings. And I am at par or beating people that never used to do it. So that is my tool or tip of the week. Find something you're not good at and learn it. Learn it, and then challenge yourself to deconstruct it so that you can understand it. Because listen, I mean, all these puzzle games are super good for our minds. It helps prevent and stave off
dementia,
and I was going to say senility, but Alzheimer's and dementia. And our brains grow. The neural pathways constantly grow. As long as you are learning, you develop new neural pathways, like building more freeways in California. And the more you do, the more you learn, the more you build those, the faster it is and easier for you to learn. So that Word Stacks game, I've just been playing it for about 3 months. It's made a huge difference in my Words with Friends game. And that's my tool or tip of the week. Learn something that you're not good at.
I am like a Scrabble fiend. It is like my go-to favorite game that nobody will ever play with me. And my thing is because I'm really good at it, but it's like I'm always like it's not a word game, it's a strategy game. And I try to teach people how to play, and that's what I do. I'm like, you look for the space where you're gonna get the highest points. You look for you need to know your 2 and 3 and 4 letter words. That's more important than anything else. Here's a list of all the 2-letter words you can use. Because I'm like, and I won't use it. I'll do it from memory because I want you to have a chance so you'll play with me again. It's always my strategy. But
what do you got, Amber? What's your tooler tip of the week? You got anything?
Well, can it be so mine is
a book, could be a favorite painting. It could literally be anything.
Well, I bought an air fryer at Costco. I went a couple weeks. I went this week, so it's the first time I've been in like 3 weeks. Went back to Costco, and because the people at my house, I'm being super strict when it comes to all of the quarantine stuff because I'm like, I can't afford to get sick, and I can't afford to get you guys sick. Like we are, locked down. Anyway, some of my family is really missing chicken fingers and French fries, and I'm tired of the grease smell when we try and make it from home. So I'm like, we'll try this air fryer thing out. I've had it for like 4 days and it's life-changing. So
it is life-changing.
It really is. And I haven't even done chicken fingers or I tried to do sweet potato fries and I really messed them up. And I know what I did wrong now. I didn't toss them with oil first, which I didn't know you were supposed to do. So I essentially just like dried them out.
Yeah. Frozen stuff works best in that thing. Like the most frozen you can get it works the best. I don't know why, but I think it's just because of the amount of water that's the moisture and everything that's on it that works really well. But yeah, those things are amazing. I will tell you that definitely buy some parchment paper. If you already have parchment paper, that's cool. Just take a pencil and just poke some holes in it. But stick on the bottom of it, and that will make it so you don't have to clean the dang thing every single time you use it. Because that's the part my wife hates. She's like, you guys used it, but you didn't clean it. And so it's like, all right, use parchment paper.
Hate that about everything. But I did breakfast potatoes, like everything in my kitchen. That's my other. Yeah, I live with 5 other people. I'm like, so there's 6 of us, and so it's like everybody has one day that the kitchen is their day because we're all home all day long now, and we cook so much more, and I feel like we eat constantly, and so family dinner is back, so that there's only one meal to clean up at night, which is good, and I only cook 1 night a week, which is also good. But I did breakfast potatoes in the air fryer yesterday, and that is my main complaint when it comes to hash browns at home is they're never crispy. Unless you burn them, you do them in the air fryer and they're perfect in less than 15 minutes.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So get an air fryer the next time you go to Costco. And then can I have 2 tooler tips of the week?
You can.
Yes. So my other one is Do You Yoga. It's an app and a website. And right now, like all of their beginning yoga series are free even. But because we are all stressed out and not stretched out and cooped up and all the things, we've instituted a weekly or a daily yoga time at my house. So my kids are supposed to be logging on to their online classes and stuff between normal school times, and so they're supposed to be done at 2:30. And usually 2:30 is about the time that I'm like need to move my body and do stuff. Yes, and they've got a bunch of different ones that are free, like the 28 for beginner program. Like you don't have to sign up; you can just do it. And so we do yoga in our living room at 2:30 every day. It helps to have people who harass you when it's time to do your exercises. But that has been the saving grace of this last couple of weeks. Has been family yoga time, do yoga. I'm sure there's 1,000 other options, but the secret is having people harass you. Yeah.
Mine's super quick and super simple. I'll share with you. So we only got a couple minutes here. Is this game? It's called Drawful 2. And Drawful is awesome. And I'm telling you right now, even if you don't think you're going to play it, you should go download it real quick because right now it's free. They're giving it to you for free instead of spending $10. You can actually download it for free. And so this game works literally on everything. If you have an Apple TV and you have a bunch of iPhones or iPads or whatever, you can pull those out, connect to it and do it. If you have a Nintendo Switch, it works on it. If you play games on Steam, it works on it. If you have an Xbox, it works on it. It literally works on anything and everything. It also just works by having a computer and your phone, and everybody just kind of sits around the computer and plays it as well. You could also do what I did, which is stream it live on Facebook and have other people pop on. Bridget was even playing with it with me. And it is the funnest game because if you suck at drawing, it's the best because people still... Yeah, it's even funnier. It's awesome. So yeah, go take a look at it. I don't want to ruin any of it for you, but it's a lot of fun, and it's something you should definitely go take a look at. And because it's free, because they're doing this whole like quarantine special, it's like, here, have at it and go play it and check it out. So that's a fun one. I will tell you that for littles, it's probably not a good game for it because they do get a little, it's kind of a little bit Cards Against Humanity type of situation there. But outside of that, it's a ton of fun, and I really enjoy it.
Does everybody have to download it onto their phone to play?
No download. So all you do is go to a website on your phone and do it. So if they have laptops, they could do it. I mean, whatever.
Okay.
It works with anything. But yeah, it's super fun, and I really enjoy it. The Apple TV version of it is just great.
Okay.
So I want to say thank you very much for hanging out with us. Go over to our website. Oh, I'm going to do this one. Go over to our website over at WPwatercooler.com, and you can learn how you can subscribe to any of our shows that we do. WP Watercoolers as well as WP Blab. We're available everywhere that all the great podcasts are. Out there, we record at 9 a.m. Pacific as well as 11 a.m. Pacific on Fridays, which is today. So thank you for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Talk to you all later.
All right.
Bye.